So, you've heard the buzz about saving your first $100,000, how it's some magical gateway to becoming financially comfortable. But let's be real, if it were that easy, everyone would already have six figures tucked away. You might be staring at your bank balance, wondering how on earth you can ever get to 100K when life keeps throwing you curveballs, rent hikes, debt payments, everyday expenses that never seem to stop. Today, we're going to dig into the gritty, real-life challenges of hitting that first massive savings goal and, more importantly, the concrete steps you can take to finally see those digits in your account. Let's start with the mindset because, believe it or not, that can be one of the biggest roadblocks. Why does 100K feel so huge? It's not just a random number, it's like crossing a threshold from just getting by to I might actually have my finances together. A lot of people never hit this mark because they believe it's impossible. Maybe they've tried to save before, but an unexpected car repair or a job loss wiped out their progress. They get discouraged, and soon the entire idea of saving becomes this giant, intimidating task. But here's a key truth. If you treat 100K as this distant dream, you'll never take the daily actions that move the needle. You'll keep telling yourself, I'll never get there, and sure enough, you won't. So, the first mental shift is to realize that, while it's challenging, it's not out of reach. In fact, countless people with modest salaries have done it by chipping away consistently and making some tough lifestyle calls. Once you believe it's doable, you're more likely to take those small but critical steps that accumulate into real wealth. One of the biggest enemies of saving is lifestyle inflation, also known as lifestyle creep. This is when every raise or bonus you get turns into a reason to spend more. Maybe you were fine with your old car, but now you can afford a nicer one, so you jump on that monthly payment. Or maybe your favorite budget-friendly grocery store is replaced by constant takeout meals just because you can. The trouble is, every new expense shaves off a piece of what you could be saving or investing. To put it bluntly, if you let your expenses balloon along with your income, it'll feel like you're stuck on a treadmill, running faster, but never actually getting anywhere. Sure, it's nice to treat yourself, but if you truly want to hit six figures in savings, you need to keep your living costs well below your income for as long as you can manage. That might mean living in a smaller place than your peers, sticking to a used car, or cooking at home more often. It doesn't have to be forever, but the less you let lifestyle inflation creep in, the quicker you'll stack up those savings. Let's talk about housing, because for so many people, rent or mortgage payments swallow the biggest chunk of their paycheck every month. Especially if you live in a high-cost city, you might feel like half of your income is gone the second you pay the landlord. If your housing costs are sky high, building up savings becomes a monumental task. By the time you pay for your place, plus utilities, you might barely have anything left to stash away, let alone invest. So what can you do? If it's possible, consider moving somewhere more affordable, even if it's a few neighborhoods away or with a roommate. Yes, it's inconvenient, but every $100 you don't spend on rent is another $100 you can put toward your 100K goal. If you dream of owning a home, you might think you need to buy right away. But if local prices are insane, renting a cheaper spot while you aggressively save can be a better strategy. Once you have a hefty down payment from that first 100K or more, you can lock in a property without feeling squeezed by massive monthly payments. Housing might be a necessity, but you do have some control over how much you spend on it. It's hard to save for that first 100K when you're constantly battling debt. High-interest credit card debt can eat your progress alive, leaving you feeling like you're just treading water. If you're racking up 15% or 20% interest, any gains you might get from investing or saving start to look tiny in comparison. So, one of the earliest wins you can grab is to kill that debt as fast as possible, particularly the high-interest kind. Once that weight is off your shoulders, every dollar you would have spent on interest can go straight toward your savings. But it's not just debt. Emergencies can strike out of nowhere. Medical bills, a car breakdown, a sudden job layoff. These can torch your progress if you're not prepared. That's why, ironically, building a small emergency fund might momentarily slow your journey to 100K, but it protects you from draining your real savings whenever life goes sideways. And yes, the beginning of saving or investing is painfully slow. You might invest $2,000 and see a 10% return. That's just $200 gained, which doesn't feel game-changing, but as you keep adding more, those small percentage gains will become bigger and bigger in actual dollar terms. That's compounding. It's slow at the start but can explode over time. So, how do you actually push through these obstacles? Let's break down some actionable steps. 1. Automate everything. If you wait until the end of the month to see what's left over for savings, odds are there won't be much. Instead, schedule automatic transfers to savings or investment accounts right after payday. That way, you pay yourself first. 2. Boost income. You can only cut so many expenses before life becomes miserable. If you're serious about speeding up your savings, look at the other side of the equation, your earnings. Could you switch to a higher paying industry, negotiate a raise, or add a side hustle that capitalizes on a skill you already have? 3. Make investing a priority. Sitting on cash means inflation will grind away its value, even small. Regular contributions to broad market index funds can stack up. As your balance grows, you'll start seeing returns that actually matter in dollars, not just cents. 4. Stay consistent and patient. Building 100K doesn't happen overnight. It's about layering good decisions repeatedly, like resisting that brand new car or skipping the swank apartment. It might feel like you're depriving yourself short term, but hitting your goal earlier sets you up for much bigger wins down the road. 5. Focus on real net worth. If half your net worth is in a car that depreciates or a closet full of stuff, that's not building wealth. Keep track of how much money you have in assets that can grow, like stocks, bonds, or real estate. That's the figure you really want to keep an eye on. Saving your first $100,000 is hard, harder than most people admit. Lifestyle inflation, housing costs, debt, and emergencies can make you feel like you'll never get there. And let's not forget the agony of seeing tiny investment returns when you're just starting out. But despite all that, it's absolutely doable. By protecting yourself from lifestyle creep, choosing cheaper housing whenever feasible, attacking debt, and investing regularly, even in small amounts, you set yourself on a trajectory that grows stronger with time. The day you finally see that six-figure balance, you'll realize how many tough calls it took to get there. But once you've built that foundation, your money starts working for you in a whole new way, accelerating your journey to even greater financial milestones. Stay disciplined, stay focused, and keep reminding yourself, once you crack that first 100K, the road to the next level becomes a whole lot smoother.